Hey folks, welcome to this week's edition of Wild Kentuckiana Live. I'm your host, Tom Chamberlain. Before we get into our guests, and I really want to thank our guests for getting out on this snowy night. Roads are getting really bad, so we got some really cool guests this week, and we really appreciate them making the effort to get to the station tonight. I want to talk about our great sponsor we have is Knob Creek Gun Range. Without Knob Creek, the show wouldn't be possible, so if you have any kind of shooting needs, make sure you go see Kenny Sumner and the gang out at Knob Creek. They also have 2 different machine gun shoots that they have every year, so make sure you go out and visit them. They're a great supporter of this show. They're a great supporter of the Second Amendment rights. And if they don't have what you need, you really don't need it, because if you've ever been out there, they have the largest selection of guns, ammos, holsters, everything you could possibly need for hunting, for shooting, for recreational shooting. So go out and see Kenny and them and tell them that Wild Kentuckiana Live sent you. There's also one more thing I want to bring up before we talk to our first guest here is the One Wish Foundation. For you all don't know what the One Wish Foundation is, it's an organization that really caters to life-altering diseases for women, children, vets. They take these people out because Make-A-Wish Foundation does a great job in what they do, but they do not allow any hunting or fishing. So the kids and the vets that really want to get out and hunt, they go to the One Wish Foundation. The problem is the One Wish Foundation has secured enough funds for a lot of different kids, but they lack the applications. So what I'm trying to do is get the word out here in Kentucky that if you have a son or a daughter, or if you're a vet and you would like to do a hunting trip or a fishing trip, go to One Wish Foundation's website. You can apply now and fill out the application. It does not have to be life-threatening diseases. It could be autism, ADHD, it could be anything like that. Even though they do take out kids that have terminally ill with cancer conditions, they have different programs for different kids and vets. So make sure you go visit One Wish Foundation. It's a great organization. They're out of Pennsylvania. I'm actually heading up there in June for a big fundraiser they're having. So if you know somebody that would like to be interested in filling out the application for the One Wish Foundation to do whitewater rafting, fishing, hunting, whatever they want to do, these folks are going to take care of them. So go to the website and make sure you check them out. Our first guest, and folks, if you've been watching our show from day one, we only have A-plus guests on this show. So tonight we have Senator Robin Webb. Senator, thank you so much.
Thanks for having me, Tom.
Now, we've had another senator on here before, so you're not the first. And we do bring A-plus guests in, and we're very proud of that because we also mix in what's going on behind the scenes of what you're doing in Frankfort on top of local hunters to show off their harvest. So we had to mix it all in together. Now, you have a tough job that a lot of people don't realize. Just like we had Senator Simon on, y'all are fighting for our rights behind the scenes. What you all are doing are huge for us as hunters and fishermen and women across the state. You're a little different because very few women in Frankfort are doing what you're doing, and you have a huge background in hunting and fishing. Now, tell us a couple bills that are going on in Frankfort right now that are helping us hunters out.
Well, first of all, I've got a lot of backup in Frankfort, Tom. We've got a sportsman's caucus. We're a statutory caucus. We've been in existence for several years, and we belong to the National Assembly Sportsmen's Caucuses, 44 states, thousands of legislators, or 48 states now, and I'm the national president. This is my 4th year and last year of my term, and we hope to have all 50 states before my tenure ends. That's the goal. So, I've got a lot of backup nationally with the Congressional Sportsmen's Foundation. They're our older sibling, if you will, and we have a national governor's caucus. So, and we're hoping that Governor Bevin will be in that. So I've got a lot of backup, but my colleagues say I spend probably too much time on this. Sometimes they get tired of hearing me talk about the Second Amendment and hunting, fishing, trapping, and our cultural heritage. But
you can't spend ever too much time on
no, I said, and if something happens and I'd retire my public or my private job, I'd just do it full time.
What I like about you, Senator, is you're a no-nonsense person. You're going to stand up for what's right, and you're not going to be swayed one way or the other. What you think is the right is what you're going to do. And with you having the background in hunting and fishing, that bodes well for us in the general public that do love to hunt and fish. So you're always going to have our back, and you're always going to fight for us right now.
Well, in my house, growing up, if you wanted to see my daddy, that's what you did. Every holiday, every day off, You know, you were out in the field with him. He was on the Fish and Wildlife Commission as the commissioner through 9 governors. He has a junior conservation camp, Camp Webb, on Grayson Lake, where I live, named after him. And I grew up going to Camp Webb and helping out at Camp Webb. And you know, junior conservation education was his legacy, and it's important.
Tell us a little bit about this bill that's being passed around now, the animal fighting bill. Can you give us a little background on that?
Well, that's a bill that is brought by the Humane Society of the United States.
Which we're both totally against. We both had run-ins with them.
They are a anti-animal utilization, anti-animal ownership. They want to end sport hunting yesterday. That's no secret. And their top item agendas in Kentucky are our horse industry, bear and elk hunting, and hunting with hounds. They make no bones about that. Mm-hmm. So they go about it at different angles. And I think one angle is this alleged animal fighting bill. Dog fighting is illegal in Kentucky. Dog fighting is a felony. It's a heinous thing. As a houndsman and a dog owner and former breeder, I don't want anybody doing that.
That's right.
There's nobody in Frankfort for dog fighting. I guarantee that.
Right. And
it's already a felony in Kentucky. And these national groups that tell you that we rate near the bottom and all that, the ADLF is between PETA and HSUS. They're also have the same agenda. Mm-hmm. So to me, they have no credibility. We protect our animals in Kentucky. Dog fighting is a felony. I've not had one law enforcement officer, one prosecutor come to me and say, we've got trouble making these cases.
Right.
I'm a lawyer myself. Like any other crime, you investigate it, you make a case, you prosecute it. They have the tools that they need now. What the animal fighting bill, you know, it's not a dog fighting bill. The title of the bill is animal fighting. Makes reference to 4-legged animals. When I look at that as a lawyer and a rancher, a farmer, a houndsman, you know, 4-legged animals are utilized in all that. And they'll say, oh, there's an exemption, there's an exception for hunting. Let me tell you, folks, language isn't good in its original form, and it's a danger, and it's the first erosion, the first attack, if you will, on hunting with hounds in Kentucky. With the Kentucky Houndsman they're on the bill. I think we're trying to raise some awareness on the language, and all these well-intended folks that think this is going to make a dent in dog fighting, this is not the way to do it.
And I tell you what I like about you being up there as our senator is also you're an attorney. That means a lot, and we talked about this before we went on camera tonight. First rule of business is you have a good attorney and you have a good accountant because they know way more than you do. So with
you don't lie to them.
That's right. So with you being up there fighting for our rights and be able to read these bills and understand these bills, because there's a difference between reading them and understanding them. You're going to find language that a non-attorney will not even look at, that may pass through, slip through the cracks, not meaning to. But with your legal background, that really helps us because you know what to look for.
I've been a prosecutor. I've been a defense lawyer. I've done this for 30 years. And I was also a bill drafter my last year of law school. So, and we are trained to look at things, all different scenarios, worst case scenarios, play the devil's advocate. And that's what I try to do when I analyze a piece of legislation, even my own legislation,
right.
Which, you know, sometimes I change the language. It's an evolutionary process. But that bill concerns me probably more than any at this time.
Yeah, because they're talking about, you know, our livelihood in Kentucky, horses, which is, you know, what the state's built on, a lot of it. And then any type of dogs. I mean, it could be rabbit dogs, coon dogs, waterfowl dogs. I know you're a big waterfowl hunter.
Yes, I'm waterfowl, but, you know, a 4-legged animal designation. I've got a plot hound. Right. They're the North Carolina state dog. They're bred to be aggressive and hunt bear and boar.
That's right.
So, you know.
And that if this bill went through, it would mean you couldn't use any type of dog that herded cattle or anything like that.
Well, the goal of the Humane Society of the United States is to keep us as hunters and sportsmen and women from doing just that, and really keeping the proper utilization of any animal. They have gone so far to say that ownership is servitude, and this is how extreme that is. So,
right.
And there's a lot of well-meaning people in this fight. They think that dog fighting, that this is going to cure that there is not a loophole in our dog fighting statutes.
And if you give them this, they're going to take more.
Well, this is an erosion of right, an erosion of it, and you've seen in other states, the attack on legitimate breeders.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying there's not irresponsible dog breeders. There's irresponsible people in every component of our lives,
That's
in
right.
every profession, vocation, business, any sector that you're dealing with in the population. But, you know, there are responsible breeders.
That's right.
There are sport dog breeders. Mm-hmm. There are pure, you know, there's nothing wrong with having purebred dogs.
That's right.
So, and you know, support your local shelters. Do not give money to this bunch.
That's right, because they're
because
crazy.
they will eventually, their agenda is to take away animal ownership rights.
Well, folks, we're going to take a quick break. We're a little over right now. We come back, we're going to speak some more with Senator Webb. Hey folks, welcome back to Wild Kentuckiana Live. I'm your host, Tom Chamberlain. Special guest Senator Robin Webb here with us. We was talking about the animal fighting bill. Let's go into a little bit about the budget for the Fish and Wildlife.
Well, Fish and Wildlife is an autonomous agency when it comes to funding. Sportsmen and women pay for that, except for our important federal monies, which, you know, come down in various forms for management and other specific issues. And, you know, we're in a budget year. And we are pretty much the envy of the nation with our funding model, you know, notwithstanding some challenges that we face with demographic and
Sure.
public hunting access availability and potential numbers being down. You know, at some point we may want to look at other funding mechanisms. Right now there's no general fund dollars in there, and that keeps it good and clean, and it's one of the best models in the nation. And
That's why we have every other state looking at Kentucky on why are they so successful and we're not.
Well, that's true because you know, we have some stability of funding, and maybe not a couple of the states have a dedicated tax on sporting equipment, and we'd love to have that, but we don't have that.
Sure.
So other than those two states, our model is a good one, and it shouldn't be tinkered with. And even our, you know, commission model, everything about Fish and Wildlife in Kentucky works pretty well in promoting the North American management model, which is so important. And again, the envy of the world.
That's right. Now, we got the boring stuff out of the way. Let's talk real stuff. Let's talk hunting and fishing. Now, you grew up in a household that constantly hunted and fished. With your dad being on the commissioner's board, you were raised in this atmosphere. That's why you're so passionate about it.
That's right. It's my passion.
Now, we got some pictures that you had sent me that were some really cool fishing pictures. Now, tell us where those came from.
Well, I like to go to Alaska when I can. I've got some pretty good friends up there, and my friends, we have a very active caucus, as you can imagine, and we love to go up there and visit our friends. That's a halibut. That's in Alaska, and that's, to me, the best eating fish. Walleye is pretty good, but halibut's the best, and that was just a once-in-a-lifetime experience. And we did pretty good that day, and in some pretty rough water on a small boat, and my guide looked about 12 years old, and he, you know, but we were out there doing it. So, and that was on the Kenai in Alaska, and you know, I caught the smallest trout. We were chasing clear water all day, and I caught the smallest one, and I told the boys that means I have the touch, you know, when
That's
you
right.
catch the smallest one, and then I caught the biggest one, and I held it up and I said, "This is why I'm your president, boys." You know, I caught the biggest trout. But
Now, do you ever do any hunting up in Alaska, or just strictly fishing?
haven't been hunting yet, and it's just I was supposed to. It didn't work out, but that's sort of a goal of mine to
Right.
get up there. And like I said, I plan on going back fishing this summer, Lord willing, and it's one of my favorite places.
What's your passion when it comes to the outdoors?
I'm an old waterfowler. I guess waterfowl with my dad, hunting West Kentucky, and I'd go every chance I got. I'd stay for days. I'd go, leave in the middle of the night, drive down, get in the blind, limit out, and then go to bed. I mean, that's the way we grew up. Law school on the Ohio River and little honey holes around the power plants, and I enjoy.
You got any GPS coordinates for those honey holes?
No.
Okay.
Not about top secret information. Don't get out as much as I used to, you know, but it certainly kept me sane in law school and,
I bet it
and
did.
beyond.
And it's important to me. There's nothing better than being in a blind, whether it be a turkey blind or a duck blind, and seeing that sun come up. You know, it's God's creation. It's wonderful and it's peaceful, and you get some of the best thinking done out there.
That's true, and I get down on my farm and track, and was out there in 3 feet of snow the other day tracking things and looking for, checking on my turkeys, and I was counting them all day today, and I think the spring season's going to be a pretty good one from what I could count.
Well, I tell you what, you know, we've been very blessed here in the state to have an abundance of turkey across the whole state. You know, you get down to some of the eastern and western parts of the state, the deer population is not as strong as it is central Kentucky. But our turkey population is just crazy compared to any other state around us. I mean, there's an abundance of turkey. And
they're good-looking birds, and even with the light mask, and I had some concerns, but, you know, they were out today looking pretty good in big numbers. So.
Now, you're a deer hunter.
I like deer. I get a little attached to my deer on the farm, on or near the farm. Sometimes I'd rather just kind of go hang out with them and shoot those.
So you're more go kill somebody else's animals and leave yours alone?
Yeah, that would be me.
That's not bad. It's a good way to save yours. Is kill all your neighbors' animals. Hopefully this year I get to hook up with you and maybe some other senators from Frankfort to do a turkey hunt and put on the Pursuit channel.
That would be great. We watch Pursuit, and you know, anytime we can turkey hunt, that would be a great thing.
We really want to focus this year on my show is doing more community involvement and picking up this One Wish Foundation and bringing people like you on the show and then on my hunting show to show that, you know, this is a well-rounded group of individuals that are hunter men and hunter women. It's key, I think, because, you know, getting everybody involved and getting the kids involved is our future.
That's true, and we have a cultural heritage to protect, and it's up to us to do it. And, you know, whether it's a Second Amendment issue, you know, we've got the NRA convention coming up,
That's right,
and
can't
Kentucky
wait.
wants to really, we all want for that to be a
ATA
proud
here
moment.
and
I was at the ATA,
Yep.
and
I was there every day.
And it was, you know, to showcase Kentucky and what we have to the world, and we're going to continue to try to partner with people like you and our sportsmen's groups. I mean, we're all in this together. You know, I grew up, and the bass fishermen would fight with the muskie fishermen,
That's
and
right.
the coon hunters would fight with the, you know, those days are over.
That's right. You got to combine forces.
We are all allies in protecting our cultural heritage, and we have to build new alliances, whether it's with animal agriculture and other affected stakeholders, retailers, vendors. You know, we've got some of the best craftsmen and sports product in America
Yep.
right here in our back door. So we've all got to band together and support each
People
other.
don't realize how many archery products are actually made here in Kentucky. Scott Riley's company, Extreme Archery Products, which is a great site company. There's a lot of hunting products made right here in Kentucky. And, you know, they're here not because we're kind of almost central, but because they found that there's so many hunters in Kentucky.
We know what we're doing. I mean, Kentuckians
You're right.
know what they're doing, you know.
Folks, we're going to take another quick break. We'll be right back with Senator Webb. Hey folks, welcome back to Wild Kentuckiana Live. I'm your host, Tom Chamberlain. With us tonight, we have Senator Robin Webb, who's drove a long way to be on the show tonight in very snowy conditions. So I really appreciate you making this drive all the way up to be with us tonight. I know y'all are out tomorrow. No work tomorrow, so you're going to hang out here in Louisville.
Little law practicing tomorrow.
Little law
hopefully,
practicing tomorrow. Let's talk about a drone bill that's been introduced. Can you give us a little background on the drone bill?
Yeah, I filed a drone bill to prevent utilization of drones for hunter harassment.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, some of the, I know PETA has bought some drones, and there's been some instances of hunter conflict, if you will, and their intention would be to monitor trails and monitor anglers and monitor hunters in the field. So we want to prevent that. So it's an anti-harassment, but also to disallow any hunting from drones.
Mm-hmm.
I had the bill a few years ago to prevent computerized hunting,
Right.
With an exception for a handicapped individual. And then we feel it's important to, you know, weaponize a drone
Sure.
in the field for many reasons.
Absolutely.
And certainly, notwithstanding the federal government tracking, monitoring, registering, that Kentucky needs to do things to prevent those instances from occurring.
It really surprises me that PETA has gone to such lengths, and HSUS, such lengths to purchase a drone to harass hunters. These are people are very, I don't know if they have any fear, because the last person I'd want to make mad in the field is a hunter. They have a weapon.
Well, their tactics are provocation and intimidation and bullying and those things.
Yeah, I've been there.
Yeah, me too. But it just, they get press out of it. They raise money on it, and these are the kind of tactics that gets attention, and that's what they do. And I trail ride myself, and there's rumblings about utilization of horses on a trail and the weights and the various things. So and that would affect outfitters too.
Sure.
I mean, tracking in to hunt elk or whatever. So it's a pretty broad-based impact, I think.
Yeah, and it's going to be good if they can. The less we can keep HSUS and PETA from harassing us out in the field, the better off we are.
Or just your neighbor from harassing.
Well, that's true too. We just had that whole drone shot down in Bullitt County. So it's just the harassment in general is a good reason to have this drone bill. Now, how close is this drone bill to going through?
We're working on some language. The Department of Fish and Wildlife, I talked to them before I left Frankfort last week about some language. So, I'm never married to the language of a bill. I always like the stakeholders to be satisfied with that. It's always a work in progress. So we're still working on that, and then we'll hopefully get it through, talk to the chairman if he thinks it's a good idea, and if not, we'll try it again next year.
And, that's what I like is about you're persistent. If it don't go through one year, you're going to change some language up and try to push it through the next year. So, you're always working for us. If you don't succeed the first time, you're going to keep going until it does get through to benefit us.
Like Hunters for the Hungry last year, the Department of Public Health was trying to shut us down.
Right.
That's the bottom line. And that's another avenue, they use to try to undermine our sport, undermine our take, and diminish the hunters and their impact. And, we got that expanded, so no preemption there.
That's right.
That took a little while.
And that was big. That was big because Hunters for the Hungry, we support them a lot, and we do all we can to help them out and get their word out, because those people are feeding so many people in Kentucky that need it. And, they've really, Mike had talked to one of the representatives from Texas, and they have a huge Hunters for the Hungry in Texas. And he was trying to model it after them, and he's doing a wonderful job, and that whole board.
I try to plug them every chance I get.
Me too. Every time I can. Folks, Hunters for the Hungry, go to their website. Actually, we just did a Facebook giveaway for them. I was a grand marshal up in Carrollton, Kentucky, and they gave me some General Butler State Park weekend passes for their cabins. So I gave them to Hunters for the Hungry, and they did a raffle for them. And so that was good for them. Just anytime I can give them publicity, I always do. Well, Senator Webb, I won't take up any more of your time.
Thank you, Tom.
Thank you so much. And just remember, you always have a voice here. Anytime you have anything you want to push out to the hunters and all the sportsmen, men and women across the state, you always have an avenue right here, and we appreciate everything you're doing for us in Frankfort.
Well, we work for you, and our light up those phone lines if something that's affecting your cultural heritage.
Thank you so much, and folks will be right back.
Thank you.
Hey folks, welcome back to Wild Kentuckiana Live. I'm your host, Tom Chamberlain, and I really want to thank Senator Robin Webb for making it all the way up from Carter County to be with us tonight. Now we have two more guests that drove all the way from Hardin County to join us tonight. This is Dennis and Dave, and y'all are part of a Facebook page called Kentucky Whitetail Hunters.
Yes, sir.
And I really want to thank y'all for coming up tonight, and we're
Thank-
going to talk a little
thank
bit
you.
about
Appreciate it.
about
you.
how the Facebook page got started and what it's about. It's very important today with social media that, hunters have an avenue to get across their stories, because anytime you harvest an animal, it's very important. Everybody wants to share their story.
Right.
Now, there's several avenues to do that. Sometimes there's avenues where you get talked down to, or, they really just get on you about it. Now, you all have a Facebook page, and I encourage everybody to go like it, Kentucky Whitetail Hunters. Let's jump them way up tonight and give them some support. Tell us a little bit about your Facebook page.
We created Kentucky Whitetail Hunters back in August of 2015.
Okay.
We made it a closed group
Mhm.
because of, as you stated, all the harassment. And,
Right.
we wanted a site for ethical hunters to join, to share their pictures and their stories of their hunts, and a clean enough site where the children could get on
Right.
and look, and they could read and learn about. And like we've stated, you can meet someone there.
Sure.
That might only
you might
be
find your next hunting buddy there.
right.
That's right.
That might only be a couple miles down the road.
Right.
And you get to talking, get out and get hunt together.
And you get to post your pictures, and everybody's trophies are different.
That's right.
Everybody has a different view on
Yep.
trophies. And I see where you all change y'all's front page up quite often.
Yes.
Yep.
And I'm proud to say I'm on it right now.
That's right.
So I really appreciate that. But I constantly monitor the page, and I really enjoy it because you get to hear people's. And I've gotten some guests off that page because it's the typical average hunter. They have no agenda to push.
Right.
They don't have a TV show. They're not trying to promote themselves. They're just trying to promote ethical hunting in Kentucky.
Right.
And y'all are doing a wonderful job with that.
Thank you.
And it's really great to see an avenue on social media that you're not just harassed for everything you do. And I know there has been some people had gotten on there, and y'all were very quick to shut them down and delete them off the page.
That's right. Exactly.
So that really stands a lot for you all, that what you all are doing. Now, how many Facebook likes do y'all have right now?
As of right now, there were 911 members.
Okay, 911. Hopefully by the end of the show here, we can push them to 12 or 1,300. So everybody
that
that's
would be
out there, everybody has Facebook. If you don't, you're lying to yourself. You're lying to your family. Everybody has Facebook out there. That's how we keep track of everybody, what's going on. That way you know your neighbor, what they're eating for dinner, and everything
Oh, yeah,
else.
absolutely.
So go to Facebook, go to Kentucky Whitetail Hunters, like their page. You're really going to enjoy what they have to offer. And, I get a kick on some people's stories on there.
And it's David and myself. We get started on there. We get laughing and joking with a bunch of people.
Yeah.
And we have a great time.
It's
and,
it.
and that's what it's all about, okay? You might have a bad day, jump on there, you're going to get a laugh out of us.
You will.
Out
You
of
will,
one of us.
because I've seen some goofy stuff on there.
We have had some goofy stuff, okay? But it's clean.
It is always clean. It's always
and
kid-friendly.
it's good for the youngsters,
Yeah, because this day and age, they don't have a clean environment they can go to.
They don't. Absolutely.
There's also one for turkey hunting.
Right?
They kind of picked up the pace after you all started yours. They've seen how successful your Facebook page was, and so he made the switch to try to do it. It's a great avenue because you can get out a lot of information. You can ask questions. You can ask questions and nobody judges you.
Right.
Because it's also a learning page. Because you can learn
Absolutely.
things that you don't know about. Because as long as I've been hunting, I don't know everything.
No.
As long as you've been hunting,
I don't. And
you're never going to know everything.
I've learned so much.
Yeah.
I've learned so much.
And something we're going to try this year is we're going to be doing our food plots.
Yep.
And everything. So we're going to be taking pictures,
Mhm.
posting that as we go. Of course, we're going to try to help people learn what to do, how to do it,
Right.
show them the progress that we're doing.
And I'll tell you, for you all that if you're not really up on food plots, QDMA is a wonderful resource for you all on food plots. I was not real strong in the food plot end of it. I am fairly strong now on it. Talking with QDMA guys, they're so knowledgeable when it comes to food plots. I mean, it's a great resource, and all those guys are really happy to talk about anything you got. So definitely look at the QDMA sites for your food plots. Now, both y'all had successful 2015
Yep.
deer seasons.
Had great seasons. Sure did.
So
Seen
tell us a
lot.
little bit about yours here, Dennis.
I killed a real nice 9-point. I had him on a food plot or a corn pile in the beginning of September, I believe it was.
Okay.
I kept getting trail pictures of him up until about the 1st of November.
Right. Which is typical.
Right. And then he disappeared.
That's the deer there on the
Yes.
trail. That's a very nice mature deer.
Yeah, he was great. It really was. And I honored this because I hunt on my father's property. I put this buck in my father's honor.
Okay, nice.
Yeah, and I really, for him doing everything, a lot for me
Sure.
over the years. So I just happened to opening day of rifle season, I decided instead of going to the corn pile, I was going to scoot around it about 50 yards.
Gotcha.
And it just so happened it worked out. I scooted around behind it about 50 yards, got up to the tree stand, and lo and behold, about an hour later, here he popped out. And you talk about a grin from ear to ear.
Well, yeah. I mean, it doesn't matter. You know, and there's a good picture of the harvested animal, and it's a great animal, and looks like you made a really good shot. How far did he run?
He ran probably 30 yards.
30-06 or 300?
30-06.
30-06.
He actually ran smack dab into a tree.
No kidding.
Yeah.
You're lucky it didn't break his rack off.
No, it's truth. I mean, it hit such a solid. It was such a solid sound.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that's impressive. You know, it's stuff like that makes that Facebook page great, because you post that on there and you get to tell a story just like you just did
Right.
here. You know, and that's what everybody can do. So I encourage everybody to go to Kentucky Whitetail Hunters and like them on Facebook. You're going to get some really, really cool little stories with him. Now, Dave, you had another success. You had a successful season also.
Yes, it started opening morning. I was in my deer blind with my parents, you know, and I'm sitting there watching for everything. I see 2 horses come through, you know, 2 people riding horses through the trail.
Right.
So, of course, I'm on my phone texting Dennis, and he says, you know, I just shot a big one.
Right.
So I go back out that afternoon. He said, you know, he texts me again. He says, why don't you come out to my place tomorrow night, or tomorrow morning? I said, okay. So I go out the next day around lunchtime. I'm talking to Dennis for a few minutes, and I started to ride the 4-wheeler up the hill. This is a real long hill.
Right.
Something told me you need to just still hunt it.
Right.
So I take off, not 5 minutes. I'm on the phone texting Dennis. I need you to bring the 4-wheeler up. I just shot another buck up here.
In 5 minutes.
Yes,
It
it
doesn't
was.
typically happen that way.
No, this is really lucky. I mean,
Well, it was during gun season, correct?
Yes.
And there's a picture of the deer there. Very, very nice quality deer.
Yep.
And, you know, what's great is our deer season runs into our rut. So
he was
he
with
chasing
4
those?
doe. He was
Yeah.
bedded up with 4 does.
Yeah.
The 4 does took off, and he took off. I grunted a couple times. He stopped. I used the can call. He started
Right.
making a scrape, gave me the shot.
Presented itself. How far did he run?
He ran about 40 yards on top of the ridge in the thickest pile he could.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
In the thickest stuff that you can imagine.
It
That's
took
right.
us a little over 2 hours to get him back out.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Hey, folks, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back. Hey guys, welcome back to Wild Kentuckiana Live. I'm your host, Tom Chamberlain, and we've had a great show so far. We've had Senator Robin Webb that's up there in Frankfort fighting for our rights. And did you guys know anything that she was talking about? Did you have any idea that was going on behind the scenes?
No,
No,
absolutely
sir. I
nothing.
was.
And people don't realize
floored,
that.
no.
It's, you know, it's the stuff that's behind the scenes that I try to bring to the front and make it known so everybody knows, hey, this is what's going on. And then we also had talked about the One Wish Foundation. Folks, if you have any kids out there or vets that have life-altering medical conditions, please send them to the One Wish Foundation website. They can fill out the application. They have an excess of funds that are not being used, and we really want to get these kids and these vets out there to utilize this and get these kids hunting and fishing and having a good time and make them forget about all the bad stuff in their life going on right now. So it's very important, and you can see they got some great people. Jimmy Houston's a part of it. They've had Ted Nugent a part of it. I mean, these guys are the real deal, and they're really helping kids out. So make sure you go visit the One Wish Foundation website. If you know of any kids in your area that are wanting to hunt and fish and they have autism, ADHD, cancer, anything that has anything life-altering, make sure you go fill the application out. And we have some couple of real cool guys here now with me that have started a really nice Facebook page, Kentucky Whitetail Hunters. Go like that page. Let's just blow their Facebook up. Guys, this is going to rerun a lot during the week, so you should see a constant inflow of Facebook likes the next week.
That'd be
That'd be
great.
great.
That'd be
Hopefully
great
we
because
can get them out there. What sets your Facebook page different than everybody else's that's out there?
We want not just adults,
Mhm.
but we want children to be able to come and read.
I like
And
to see
learn.
more kids post their stories.
Right.
You know, that's something that you don't see a whole lot of anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, let's try to push for these kids to get on the Kentucky Whitetail Hunters Facebook page and post their stories, because kids say the weirdest things.
They do.
Their
Yes, they do.
stories
And they're
are hilarious.
right,
It's
and
the
their hunts and the smile on their face from their
Sure.
harvest is worth $1 million.
Absolutely. And, I like to see more kids post their pictures on there. Y'all have been a really big push on female hunters, and that's awesome, because it takes the female hunters, it takes the kids, it takes the male hunters, it takes everybody to come together for one reason,
Right.
which is hunting. I don't care if it's coyote hunting, if it's, hog hunting, deer, turkey, waterfowl, dove, whatever you like to do. This is an avenue that you can post your pictures and your stories on.
That's right.
And, I've seen a ton, and I had a couple of the females that are part of the page on here.
Right.
And they're very successful hunters, and they've done a wonderful job. Sonny and Tammy both were great guests, very accomplished in their own rights. Sonny killed a monster velvet deer. Tammy's killed some nice animals along with being a taxidermist.
Right.
So those things are huge, and, it just goes to show you that, it's just not a man's sport no more.
No, no.
And-
And the one thing on our site is we encourage the female hunters.
Absolutely.
We do a banner change maybe once a week.
Mhm.
Well, this week is, I wonder whose picture that is.
Yeah,
on
it'd be
that.
my picture this week.
But, we put female hunters on that banner.
That's
We
right.
put the
Kids.
children, the kids on there with their harvest. It doesn't have to be a big buck. It can be
No.
a doe.
It could be a spike or a button. A kid's first hunt is their most memorable
That's
hunt.
right.
They're either going to love it or they're going to hate it. And if they love it, they're hooked for life.
Yep, absolutely.
And, the best way to keep a kid off drugs, get them hooked on
In
hunting.
the
Right.
outdoors.
Because it's
Yep.
so expensive, they'll never be able to afford anything else but hunting.
You're correct there.
It's not a cheap sport, and, their allowance will be going for everything hunting related.
I started taking my 10-year-old this year.
Mhm.
Of course, he's been in the blind with me several times, and he's hooked like crazy.
Yep. And my son, he's 13. He's accomplished in his own right. He's killed a bear in Maine. He's killed turkey. He smoked a huge doe this year at 36 yards with his bow.
Wow.
Wow.
And he's hooked on it. He loves to hunt. He gets mad when I go out of state hunting and I'm going to take him. Just come back from Texas. He didn't talk to me for a day or so because I didn't take him to Texas with me hunting. But I love having him hooked on hunting. And my daughter's the total opposite. She cannot kill an animal if her life depended on it. And that's okay. She is a wonderful shopper. She kills them all. So we each kid's a little different,
Right.
and I love being in the blind. My son's first turkey had me, my son, and my dad in the blind together.
That's awesome.
That's a memory I'll never forget.
Right.
Right.
My son's first deer, me, my dad, my son.
That is-
So that's stuff that, I can remember always hunting with my dad growing up, and I remember those. I can remember going with my grandpa squirrel hunting, and grandpa falling asleep against a tree, and me looking for squirrels.
Wow.
And I'd wake him up. That's memories you never forget.
And that's the kind of stories we like on our
Oh
page.
yeah,
That's exactly right.
That's what it's all about, and that's the whole reason why we created the site was just for that purpose.
Yep. And y'all are doing a wonderful job, and and I hope this show reaches enough people that they can just push the Facebook likes, because I tell you, once they join it, they're going to like it, because I've enjoyed it immensely, seeing the stories and the pictures and the banner changes.
Well, when you come on there and you join and you post your picture, even if it's a spike, you're not
Yep.
going to be harassed.
Nope.
Okay.
Nope.
If it's a trophy to you, you're happy with it.
That's
If
right.
it's
The
done
trophy
legal,
is-
everything's ethical.
My dad's favorite saying, can't eat the rat.
That's
Exactly.
right. Plus, the trophy is in the eye of the beholder.
That's correct. And that means a lot, Everybody hunts for different reasons and different purposes. I love deer meat.
Yep. Oh,
Yes.
There ain't a whole lot more than I like more than deer meat.
Yep, absolutely.
And I'll try to kill as many does as I can a year because my whole family eats it. But you guys are doing a wonderful job. Just stick with it.
thank you so much.
I'm glad you're keeping the trash off of there.
Yeah, we're trying.
I'm glad of that. Anytime I've ever seen anything negative, bam, it's off and they're gone. And it's great. So guys, keep up the good work. Thanks for coming
Thank
out.
you.
Thanks for getting through
Well,
the
thank you
storm
for
to get
having
with
us.
us.
Yeah.
And hopefully we can continue growing Kentucky whitetail hunters on Facebook.
Great.
Appreciate
Folks,
everything.
we're going to take a break. Be right back. Hey Hey guys, welcome back to Wild Kentuckiana Live. I'm your host, Tom Chamberlain. We've had a great show tonight. We had a lot of guests out there. Tonight now, our last guest for the evening, we have Nelson Lee. Nelson, thanks for coming on, brother. I tell you what, Nelson's is a young guy here, but he's a very accomplished hunter. You've killed a lot of animals here in your short period of time been hunting.
I have.
Now, tell us a little about your 2015 Indiana harvest, because what I like about that is it's a cool deer, and we're going to show some pictures of it.
Yeah.
But it was killed on government property in Indiana.
It was. Yeah, we hunt the same government property every year, and we hadn't had trail camera picture of this deer. We had a lot of nice deer on there.
Right.
And I'd hunted it for 3 or 4 days and wasn't really seeing a lot of deer. One morning, decided to go to a newsstand, first time all year, and I actually seen a really nice 8-pointer, and I decided to pass on him. Started to kick myself there.
Right.
But
Right.
an hour later, here come that deer, and
That deer's really cool. It's got a double main beam.
yeah, it's definitely my best deer. Hopefully, it'd be hard to top that one, but hopefully I get a bigger one. 8 yards, he stopped, and I put a pretty quality shot on him.
8 yards.
8 yards. And I watched him go maybe 35, 40 yards and watched him lay down. Had a 6-minute conversation with my father.
Actually, I was on the phone with your dad because y'all were heading to Dairy Queen to get breakfast.
Yeah, that was a little time after. I had called my dad and told him I had shot a nice deer. And 6-minute conversation, hung up, and I seen the deer getting up, walking away. He told me not to push it, so that's when we had talked to you.
That is a quality deer.
Yeah, he has character. Almost every angle you look at him looks like a different deer.
But yeah, I talked to your dad, and he said, "Well, we're gonna let it just try to die, and we're gonna head and get some breakfast at Dairy Queen."
That's right. And we didn't really need to. Wasn't another 20, 30 yards there he lay. I just couldn't see from the stand. He just went over around the bend. But yeah, that was a great hunt. That's one of my favorites, this far.
And that's a great deer for state property in Indiana.
Oh, yeah.
Now, the state property that this was killed on, I also hunt on, but we're not even going to remotely tell you where it's at. It was north of Indianapolis. Let's just tell them that.
Yeah, it's north of Indianapolis. Just keep on driving.
That's right. But, this is, and, you have another deer that actually is hanging in my restaurant.
That's right.
That was a really cool deer, too. So tell me a little bit about that one.
That came from the same county in Indiana, just private land. I'd hunt it for around Thanksgiving, around maybe a week or two.
Now, this is your favorite hunt today.
This is my favorite hunt today, yeah. And we'd actually had a trail camera picture of this deer. And it was early season when we had the trail camera picture. Didn't see any more of them all year round.
Which is typical. It's how it usually works.
That's how it goes. Didn't know if a car hit it. Didn't know if the neighbor killed it. Coyote could have eaten it. The last day of the hunt, it was the morning hunt, I had started to see a little more deer movement than I had, prior to that.
Right.
And I heard something coming out of the thicket, and sure enough, there he was. And he piddled around and was eating. Some does come out, and he started messing with them. Ended up giving me about a 60, 75-yard shot, and put the shot on him. He didn't go far at all, 20 yards, and that's one of my favorite hunts.
And that was a really good deer that you had taken there. Now, what got you into hunting?
Well,
now, first of all, how old are you, Nelson?
I'm 19, be 20 in April.
Okay, so you're still pretty young.
Yeah.
I'm sure I've known your dad for as long as I can remember, so I'm sure he was very integral to get you into hunting. So what is your favorite story of hunting with your dad?
Say my favorite story had to be the very first time I went hunting with my dad. Snow on the ground, and back then, little did I know, I figured the snow would hurt the deer hunting.
How old were you at this time?
8 years old.
8 years old.
First time being in the woods, I was 8 years old. And it was late muzzleloading season, snow on the ground. Never would have dreamed we would have seen a deer.
Right.
Well, sure enough, a doe come out, and he was like, here's your time. Here, give me the gun. And I was 8, 50 cal muzzleloader, 150 grain of gunpowder. I was scared.
That's a pretty good shot for an 8-year-old.
Yeah. And, I shot the doe. I hit her a little far back, being my first shot on the deer and everything. And we ended up finding her, and I have pictures hanging on my wall from that day, me driving the 4-wheeler at 8 years old with the deer on it, Never forget it.
And that's very special because your first deer you killed, of course, was with your father. You still hunt a lot with your dad.
Yeah.
Both of y'all stay pretty busy of what y'all do, so anytime you get the opportunity, y'all try to hunt together, just like all sons and fathers. You know, I stay pretty busy, but every chance I get, I try to go hunt with Dad.
Oh, yeah.
And you know, I try to hunt with my son as much as possible. It's just, you know, it's what we're brought up doing. It's what we enjoy doing. And your dad had probably kept you out of more trouble by getting you into hunting.
That's right.
Because all your money's spent on hunting.
Tell you what, if you get your kid or your friend or anyone into hunting, their money will go all to hunting, buy new guns, clothes, gear. You don't have time for any other trouble.
And none of it's cheap.
None of it's cheap.
Now tell me a little bit. You like turkey hunt?
I love to turkey hunt.
What makes you like turkey hunting?
Well, with deer hunting, you know, you have to be still, be quiet.
Right.
Your smell has to be under control.
Mhm.
With turkeys, they can see.
And they can hear pretty well too.
They can hear.
I've always said if
and
a
they can
turkey
see.
could smell it, you'd never kill them. Because
You
their
never
sight,
would.
their sight is amazing.
Their sight is absolutely amazing. I like being on the ground. You know, you feel more interact with.
Are
the
you a
turkey.
blind hunter or are you more of a run and gun?
Run and gun. I'll grab a tree, bend it over, and sit on the ground. And I think this year I'm gonna try to get a turkey with the bow, maybe a crossbow,
Okay.
but you know, shotgun. You get them close enough,
Sure.
kind of fun. I like challenge myself a little bit.
Right, and you know, turkey hunting with a bow, even a crossbow. I can remember Dad shooting one with a crossbow, and the turkey flies off with a bolt sticking out both sides.
Yeah,
I mean,
they're tough.
They are some tough old
Yeah.
animals, you know, to be a bird that flies around. But
Yeah.
I think most people like the turkey hunting because it's the interactive. You're right. You're not just in a deer stand. You're not always have to be quiet, and I mean, you can whisper, you can talk to
Yeah,
your buddy with
that's right.
you, you know, and just hearing that gobble.
3 hollers over.
Three
just-
hollers over and thinking, man, that's a half a mile away, but you know what?
He's coming.
Let's go get him.
Yeah,
You know, it don't matter. It seems like when you're tracking a deer, you track and track and track, and you're like, man, we've walked forever. But when you're after that turkey, time flies by. You go up and down ridges. You know, you might be 2.5 miles from
Yeah.
where you started at, and you know, it's pretty amazing that that you know you get to do this here in Kentucky. That our Fish and Wildlife Department has done so well
Yeah.
in it. Now, do you do any turkey hunting over in Indiana?
I have. I haven't had any luck in Indiana. I have a turkey on the wall, and I have a few beards hanging. They've all been from Kentucky.
Now, what area of the state you been turkey hunting mostly in?
Mostly Grayson County. My father owns 80 acres down there with cow pastures nearby and plenty of food. So we get some big flocks and get on them down there and get early in the mornings, get to listening for them and go after them.
Now that's key. And Nelson, I really want to thank you for coming out tonight. Folks, stay tuned next week. More great guests. We'll see you next week on Wild Kentuckiana Live.